Welcome to part 1 of the Dia de los Muertos mini cowl crochet-along by Mark Roseboom, aka the guy with the hook. I'll be taking you through part 1 and I will guide you through some of the special stitches but not the entire pattern, and I hope that you enjoy this video. First up is round 1 and I'm using the Sheep Years Katona, so I'll be starting with 105 bridal white. I'm starting with a magic ring, but you can also start it by chaining 6 and slip stitching into the very first chain to make your circle, and then obviously you're going to put all your trebles, which is an American DC, into that circle. And with the magic ring we can pull it tight with the tail to close the hole, and then you'll slip stitch into your chain 3 at the very beginning to make round 1. Round 2 is the same colour, and this is where we get our first special stitch. So we're making puff stitches on round 2. So to make a puff stitch, yarn over your hook, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over your hook and draw up a loop, yarn over your hook again, go into the stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop. You're actually going to do this 4 times so that you have 9 loops on your hook. And then to close off, you pull your hook through all 9 loops and then chain 1. And then you'll continue that around, remembering to put an extra chain between each puff stitch. So for those that don't know, Dia de los Muertos, otherwise known as Day of the Dead, is a Mexican tradition where you celebrate beloved family members or friends who may have passed away. There we go, so that's round 1 and 2 complete. Round 3 we're going to be using the green, which is 512. I think it's called lime green. Here I'm actually trying to find the centre of the ball, so I take the ball band off, give it a wiggle to loosen up the inside, and then using my hook I just find a thread and pull it through. Sometimes it's not quite as easy as that, as you'll see a bit later on. There are no special stitches in round 3. They're just double crochets, or single crochet if you're using the American terminology. I love the contrast of the green against the white. Round 4 is also the same colour. And again, there's no special stitches in round 4, so I'm not going to talk you through how we make those stitches. As Mark said in the introduction, it's not a beginner pattern. It is intermediate, definitely. But for those of you that are new to it, I thought I'd go through the special stitches. So round 5 is also green, and we are making the petal shapes using the chain spaces. So that was, in UK terminology, we did a double crochet, a half treble, a treble and a double treble in one of the chain spaces. Then we chain 2, and then we're going to reverse it in the next chain space. So double treble, treble, half treble and a double crochet. And that makes 1 petal with a lovely chain space between. So while I'm making the Dia de los Muertos cowl, I'm actually remembering past family members that I hold very dear to me. Both my grandparents, we lost them within a year of each other at the end of 2018 and then the end of 2019. So this is quite close to my heart as I think of them, and I'm thinking of ways I can incorporate a little bit of them into the project. My grandmother was my crochet teacher originally anyway, and saw me develop my skill and become a teacher myself and a designer. So I guess she's already incorporated into this project. That's the end of round 5. I love the petals. It's looking really good. Grows really quickly. Round 6, we're using the bright yellow, so 208. As you can see, I'm squishing the ball up to loosen the middle so that I can find the centre strand. I do like to have a centre pull ball. You'll notice it's not quite easy with this one, and that I don't get it right first time every time. Was a bit of a struggle, but I thought you'd like to see my struggle. I'm just like the rest of you. I eventually got there. It took a good few minutes. Okay, so round 6, it says take 1, and you'll see why in a minute. I thought I was doing really well. I thought I was following the pattern properly. But as you can see, I've joined to the front of my work because I actually didn't read the instructions properly. So my first attempt at round 6, we ended up with all of the yellow on the front. Quick look at the pattern, realised my mistake as I was getting ready for round 7. Frog it out completely. Turn over my work so that I can do it correctly on the back. I'm glad that the photos are in the pattern because that helped me to get myself right. It just goes to show that even as an experienced crocheter, I still make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with a few mistakes. You just frog it and redo it. Okay, so round 7. We're working into the chain spaces that are behind the petals this time, and we're doing puff stitches again. So if you remember, with the puff stitch, we're going to yarn around our hook, insert it into the chain space and pull up a loop, and we're going to do that so that we have 9 loops on our hook. So we're actually doing the manoeuvre 4 times. Pull it through all 9 loops, close off with a chain. And we're having 4 puff stitches in each one of those chain loops. Watching the time lapse, I wish I really could crochet that fast. But still, I had part 1 finished in just over 2 hours. And I only had to frog a couple of rounds. I did struggle with the puff stitches, having 9 loops on that small part of the hook, because I use an ergonomic hook. It can be quite tricky to get a lot of loops around the short head. So using a crochet hook that doesn't have a handle or just has a longer shaft will make puff stitches a little bit easier to deal with. Okay, so we finished off round 6, 7 even. I really love how it's coming together. Round 8, and we're using the blue, which is 397. And that was another ball that didn't really like to have the centre pulled out of it. Now, one of the tips that I have when it comes to joining yarns, unless the pattern says to join in exactly the same place, I like to keep my ends away from each other as much as possible, and then it doesn't become quite so bulky on the back. So with round 8, we're joining through the chain space of the green petal and the space between puff stitches. So you're joining the 2 rounds together. And if I remember rightly, this is the popcorn round. So with the first one, you've got your 3 chain at the beginning, and then you only make 3 trebles, which are American DC. And then we take our hook out, and we're actually putting it into the 3rd of the 3 chain. And then we pick up the loop, slip it through the 3rd of 3 chain. Note to self, don't make them too tight, and then chain 1 to close off. With the other popcorn stitches, you're making 4 trebles. Take your hook out of the 4th treble, stick it into the 1st treble, and then slip the loop through that 1st treble. And then the chains are actually to the back of the work, so you're working behind. And this is so that we can attach the next round. And it actually looks really pretty on the back. Just remember to work through both layers, both the green and the yellow, to hold them together. One of my other tips is when you're working in stitches behind or on the back, I tend to fold my work towards me so that I can see the stitch that I want to work into. Makes life a little bit easier. And there we have round 8. And look, it does look just as pretty on the back as the front. Okay, so our next colour is 179 for round 9. And that one came out really easily as a centre pull. So we're joining in the space between the popcorns, and I won't explain these stitches to you because they're just a UK treble, American double crochet, and then front post double crochets, or unless you're American, in which case front post single crochet around the puff stitches. I find it mesmerising watching crochet at hyper speeds. There we go, round 9. Oh, it looks stunning. This is my favourite colour, this bright pink, 251. Absolutely love this colour. It's another one that the centre came out really easily. So we're going to be doing single crochet 4 together, double crochet 4 together, if you English, single crochet 4 together for the Americans. And we're doing it across the 4 stitches. So we insert a hook into the first stitch, draw up a loop, insert a hook into the next stitch, draw up a loop, insert into the next stitch, draw up a loop, and insert into the fourth stitch to draw up a loop there as well. So we've actually got 5 loops on our hook. Pull, drop a loop, yarn over and draw that through all of them. And then we're doing back post trebles, or back post doubles if you're American. So that's where we insert our hook from behind, go across the post of the stitch and put our hook through to the back again, draw up a loop, and then finish off your treble as usual. So these are known as back post trebles. In English we also call them a raised treble back. In the pattern you'll see them written as BPDC, which is the American terminology, back post double crochet, otherwise known as back post treble crochet. As the rounds get bigger, the hyperlapses last a little bit longer. I think in real time this round took me about 11 minutes. Not too long. We don't close off at the end of this round. I did stop so that you can see how pretty it looks. So with round 11, we're using the first stitch of round 11 to close off round 10. So we're going to start by chaining 2. Insert your hook into that last treble that we made and draw up a loop. Insert your hook into the DC and then the next treble. So it's we're double crocheting 3 together. Now I did cut a huge chunk out because what I'd actually done was, this was one of the rounds that I had to frog. I automatically started working on UK terminology again. So I was making front post double crochet, which is the American single crochet, and it took me a good 5 minutes to realise what I'd done. So I did have to cut that out and go back. I frogged it, went back to the beginning, and then actually changed it so that I was making front post trebles. So occasionally I can translate American quite easily. I can flip between the two terminologies, which I do on a regular basis, but every so often the American double crochet does make me slip up, and I do end up making a UK double crochet instead. But that's okay, I just frog it and start again. I'm really enjoying the textural differences of each round with this pattern, and the choice of colours are just incredible. Sheep Year's colours are so vibrant and they really pop, and I think Mark has chosen the perfect colours for this Crochet-A-Long. So we come to the end of round 12, I think it was. No, it was round 11. Round 12's next. So we're now on the blue, 208. That one came out really easily as well. Okay, I'm not going to explain how we do this round because again it's just a UK double crochet all the way around in the chain spaces between the trebles and in the double crochet 3 together as well. Just a nice quick easy round. You'll notice I wrap the yarn around my index finger twice. I find that helps me with my tension. I also have it wrapped around my little finger as well, but that falls off regularly, which is why I do the 2 wraps around my index finger. It's always a good idea to do a number count as well. Just make sure that you've got the right number of stitches. It's best to do that as you go along rather than waiting till the end and then realise a few rounds later that you haven't got the right number of stitches. I just realised this wasn't blue, was it? It was purple. My computer screen makes it look blue. Okay, and then we're on to round 13, the last round of this week's Crochet-A-Long. And we're back using the yellow. I've seen a lot of questions in the group about this. The first stitch is a back post around one of the double crochets, single crochets of the purple round, the one in the middle between each petal. Okay, so I'm making a back post double crochet, back post single crochet. And then what we're doing, we're not going round the purple round. You see those trebles of the pink round? We skip one and we're going to back post around the next 5. I did have to keep looking back at the pattern to make sure I was doing it right. After my fluff up of round 11, I did go back and keep checking that I was making the right stitches. I really like how the yellow pops out on the pink round. It just really stands out. And I'm really excited to be waiting for part 2. If you've enjoyed this video, please click subscribe and click the bell for notification. And if you'd like to see more of what we do, follow our channel or go and follow us on patreon.com/unravel and unwind.